16 years ago, my husband and I were driving across the U.S. to return to our hometown after my sibling died by suicide. It was a horribly tragic time. Somewhere near Abingdon, Virginia, off I-81, we stopped to rest at a motel. It was late, and we were both exhausted after driving all day. My husband, who had done most of the driving, fell asleep quickly. I dozed off too, but before long I was awakened by a strange presence in the room. At first I thought it was an animal, something small scurrying around. I thought, God, I hope it's not a rat. But since we were in the mountains, I figured it might be something larger, like an opossum or raccoon. Then I heard jingling, like dog tags. I turned on the light and looked around. Nothing. A moment later, I felt something jump onto the bottom of the bed. It was definitely a dog. That's when I sensed another presence, a profoundly sad one. All I could think was, if this is my dead brother, I'm going to freak out. But it wasn't. It was an older man. He sat at the foot of the bed next to the dog. I could actually see and feel the mattress sink under his weight. The sadness that radiated from him was overwhelming. Pure despair. By this point, I was hitting my husband to try and wake him up. The nudges weren't working, and it was like he'd been drugged. He never stirred. The man and his dog just sat there for a minute or two, then slowly faded away. I even asked aloud, "What do you want?" But they didn't respond. They were only about a foot from my feet, and it truly shook me. Later, I tried researching online to see if there had been a suicide or death in that room, but I couldn't find anything definitive. Still, I'm convinced the man died by suicide, and I saw him because of my brother's tragic passing. I think that man knew a broken-hearted, sympathetic soul had entered his room. I'm 23 now, but this happened when I was about 6 or 7. I've told a few people about it, and I know it sounds crazy, but my older brother was there with me, and he remembers everything the exact same way, like word for word. We even bring it up randomly sometimes, just to make sure we're not losing it or making stuff up. We've called each other mid-convo with someone else like, "Yo, tell them what happened again." Anyway, here's what went down. Some quick context. I grew up in Hawaii, out in the country, way up in the mountains. At the time, it was just me, my mom, and my older brother. He was 12 or 13, at home. My stepdad was out with our other brothers running errands or something, and my biological dad lived down the mountain, like 45 minutes away. My brother and I were chilling in our room playing video games. At some point, we noticed it got dark, and the hallway light outside our door was off. We got a little spooked. I remember peeking out and seeing my mom's bedroom light on and her door open, but the rest of the house was pitch black. I think she told us earlier she was going to take a bath. I don't fully remember, but somehow we knew she was in the tub. So, we go to check on her. Her bedroom's empty, so we knock on the bathroom door. No answer. We keep knocking, calling out, asking if she's okay. Still nothing. Eventually, we just go in, and the tub is full of water, but she's not in there. No mom. Nothing else weird, just a full tub, empty room, and the rest of the house in total darkness. At this point, we're both pretty freaked out. My brother puts me on our mom's bed, and he starts calling out for her into the hallway. The way our house was set up, the hallway went past our rooms and off to the left toward the living room. He's calling out. Nothing. So, he comes back and starts trying to call her phone. No answer. Then, the part that still messes me up. We heard a whisper, clear as day, like someone literally leaned in and whispered right into our ears. It was so real it felt like my mom was sitting beside us, whispering something secretly to each of us individually. The first thing we heard was,
"He's hiding."
I screamed. My brother immediately threw my mom's blanket over my head, hugged me tight, and told me to close my eyes. Then, same voice, same whisper, but louder.
"He has no face."
We both lost it. My brother starts calling our stepdad like, "We can't find Mom. Weird stuff's happening. I don't know what's going on." He told us to stay put and said he was coming home. Then we called our bio dad too. Depending on where he was, he might have gotten there faster. We just sat there in my mom's room for like 20 to 30 minutes. Nothing else happened, but we were terrified. Eventually, my stepdad got home with our older brothers. They were in high school. We'd already told them what happened, so they immediately started tearing through the house, attic, closets, everything. My stepdad went toward the living room, and I don't remember exactly how he found her, but I remember hearing people talking and coming out to the living room. She was just sitting in the rocking chair. My stepdad was crouched in front of her, holding her hands, talking to her. I don't even remember what he was saying, but then suddenly she started laughing. Like this wild, hysterical laugh. Not funny, haha, laughing, scary laughing. Just non-stop, for like a full minute. Then she jumped up out of nowhere, ran to her bathroom, and started throwing up. And what came out wasn't normal. It was black. Like pitch black. We were all just standing there like, what the actual hell is going on? After that, she was fine. Like totally normal. But the craziest part? She didn't remember any of it. She said the last thing she remembered was setting up her bath. Nothing after that. And to this day, she still doesn't remember anything. So yeah, that happened, and it still messes me up. That whispering part especially, it felt so real. And the words? He's hiding. He has no face. Just, no, I'll never forget that. This story happened a few years ago. Maybe sometime between 2019 and 2022. So, pretty recently. Yet I still can't remember many details, but I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability. I used to live in this old apartment building for a long time, basically since I was born. I stayed there for years, moving between different floors every now and then. Once I moved to the 5th floor, everything seemed normal. I got to know most of my neighbors, except for one. From what I remember, this neighbor lived about 3 doors down. So you'd expect to see him often, right? But I never did. I never saw this guy come or go, and he kept to himself so much that I honestly never even thought about him. From what I'd heard, he was either Albanian or maybe Middle Eastern. The area I lived in wasn't very diverse, mainly Hispanics and Albanians, along with some other Muslim families. The neighborhood was heavily influenced by gang activity, mostly among the Hispanic community, though the Albanians were involved too. I remember once I went to pick up a pizza about a block away. There was a group of Albanian guys standing around testing out tasers for some reason. They had guns, vapes, weed, basically everything you'd expect from gang members. I'd often see them hanging around the local stores, which were usually empty aside from them. Occasionally you'd see a few regular customers, maybe one for every 5 or 6 gang guys. That might seem irrelevant, but it ties into what happened next. Then came the night that changed everything. I was getting ready to take out the garbage while my family was on the couch watching TV. As I was looking for the trash bag, we suddenly heard sirens and saw flashing lights out the window, police cars and ambulances. We all went out to the balcony, which gave us a clear view of the commotion outside. Now, here's where it gets a little confusing, but I'll try to lay it out clearly. Somewhere in between the arrival of the police and us stepping out to look, someone entered the building elevator, most likely injured, and went up to the 5th floor, to one of the apartments. Specifically, to that neighbor's apartment. The same one I had never seen. The private, mysterious guy. Up to this point, I wasn't even sure if it was him, but it had to be. He supposedly lived alone. Soon after, the police came up to the 5th floor. They banged on his door and eventually forced their way in. And from that moment, that's all I know. But for about a week afterward, there was an officer stationed by his door. I saw the same officer every morning when I left for school. He wouldn't be there all night, but during the day, he was always posted up in front of that apartment. Ever since then, there have been no updates. No word on what happened to the neighbor. No news coverage. Nothing. Just silence. My mom later told me she saw blood on the elevator floor when she went to check things out after everything had settled down. I still think about what might have happened, and I have a theory. I think the neighbor may have been involved with the gang activity in the area. Maybe he got shot, either inside or just outside the building, and somehow made it back to his apartment. Maybe someone nearby saw it happen and called the police. But honestly, I'll probably never know what really happened to him. Still, I think about it a lot. What do you think happened to him? Because to this day, it's still a mystery to me.